Oh, there's a new prompt on my screen. Interesting. Well, that's a whole thing. We've in heat that has been plaguing us for a. It's been hot. It's been really hot. It was like 98 the other day. 98. Let me also fix the chat so it actually shows. Hello. If I can remember how to do this. There we go. Chat filter. All messages. There we go. That way nobody's left behind. I'm going to try. I always get stuck trying to catch up with the chat. So I think for this stream, I'm going to try not trying to keep tabs on the whole chat. And like, if you're trying to ask questions, answer the questions best I can. But if I miss your question, ask it again, because I'm going to try to not keep scrolling up through the feed. Hello. Gotta get that deep Meyer seat, right? Hello. Oh, what was I trying out? Nope, not that. Yeah, it was more the Kurtz. Yeah, I keep trying to make the Kurtz sound happen for me. It's kind of unintuitive. You have to cut under their sword, and you do this while they're cutting at you, which is the scariest part about it. So they're cutting at the. This would be kind of like angle would be kind of like this. So they're cutting down on you. You're postured here. The usual defense is defend, right? But this one is come under their sword as it's coming at you, pass off, catch it on the outside, and clear it out, because their sword's moving this way. So rather than meeting it head to head, you say, okay, fine, keep going that way. I'll come the other way. I have, let's see here, Frank Knox. Do I own any sabers? I do have a saber now. I actually finally have my first saber. How would Pro Bably handle? I don't know who that is. Pro. Yeah, it's a little crunchy. You know, we got the cereal in there. That's where I keep all my cereal when I get hungry. I take it off and I eat some of the cereal. That's why it's crunchy. But hopefully it's not too bad. I could tweak the angle a little bit, see if that helps. Maybe like this, so it's not rubbing on my neck. Yeah, remember, I'm not going to be out here too long. It is really hot, so I'm not going to push it too long. I say now. Hey, Yank. I said I wasn't going to scroll up through the chat, but then there I go scrolling. I swear I won't scroll all the way up, okay? Would I be crazy to buy a big old Zweihander for a source sword? I mean, buy the sword you want. What fetter is that on the stand? That's a Klabowski. Hello. What else was I? Playing around with that one a little bit. Kind of making the Zwerkow into a two-stage action. So rather than trying to just kind of go boom and hit, turning it instead into a kind of a hit, catch here, and then a hit. But you're still turning the sword edge, the short edge forward. Because if you go long edge forward, and then you try to Zwerk, there's this window where you could get tagged, but if you catch it short first, there you go. And then if you catch it short first, and they start to kind of like push at it, you can go for the uterine underneath. So you go catch, and you try to get the hit. If that doesn't work, go under. It's a fun one. Or you just blast it. I mean, that works too. You need to tighten this up a little bit. It's a little too forgiving at the moment. Ugh. I like to give some resistance. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, thank you, Zenith. What temperature? It's in the 90s. I know that. I think it's only like 90. Wait, can I find out real fast? Let's see, do I have the power? Oh, I wish it would tell me. There we go. Oh, we are actually down into the 80s. That's incredible. Yeah, it was 98 degrees Tuesday. 98 degrees. Oh yeah, that's way stronger now. Ha. Get my fancy on. I don't like that. This is an interesting one. If they're here, I mean, if they're there, then they're open to the center. So it's like, whatever, right? It just, boom, in. There's no reason to play with their blade if they're across the body like this. You just go straight down the middle. Unless they're baiting you to do it. Yeah, almost 100. Yeah, there was a part where my car was reading 102. That was very hot. Oh, thanks, Matt. I'm glad they gave a good impression. Good folks. Good folks. Oh. I'm thinking through. Thinking thoughts. Whoosh. That's always a fun one. Big threat high, cut low. Super duper fancy way is to like get the hole down to here. That's the real shot. Just the full body drop low. Oh. Learning a lot from you, even the weight of the sword counter being easier at the tip. It's the Bauer. Is it I think I got the gist of that. Hello. Knives. I don't have any knives out. I have a knife inside. Oh, do I do any close in fighting? Yeah, we do some dagger stuff. I don't do a whole lot of dagger play, but I've done it. I find swords more fun though. Nah, that was bad. Practice makes perfect. Oh. There we go. Yeah, so this is another little Myerism thing, is this idea that you can drag every bind down, and you do this by dragging your body down with it. So I could come in and try to get to here and work my way in. Or I could try to catch it, not with my hand, but I could try to come down on it with the weight of my body. So it's not that I'm trying to smash it to the ground. You know, because like if I was trying to like really like that, right? If that doesn't hit, I whiff and I go whoosh and into the ground I go. This is more about moving your body, your body weight to a position, and anything that is in the way has to deal with the fact that it's the full weight of your body passing through. So regardless of if this sword is here or not, I'm coming up and down to here. That's what I'm going boom here in. So if their sword's gone, if it's there, it doesn't matter. I'm here in. But as soon as the sword comes in, right? What I'm doing doesn't change, but by dropping my body, it's very hard for the sword to resist that movement. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to working with our sellsword. We've talked about it. We're in communication. Oh, the heavy attack in an RP. Okay, so I'm actually thinking about doing a video about this. I'm gonna pitch this to y'all. This is a video. This is a super duper exclusive video pitch idea. So I've been toying around with this idea thanks to Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, there are the new thrusting shields. At the end of every light attack with the thrusting shield, the shield gets positioned in a way that covers it. So let's pretend this is the thrusting shield. So like the attack would go 1 block, 2 block, 3 block, so on and so forth. That's really cool from a gameplay perspective, and it's different from the heavy attacks. The heavy attacks block and then hit, and then they're exposed after they hit. So it got me thinking about light attacks and heavy attacks in games, and how to relate those to fencing. Because light attacks and heavy attacks do make a degree of sense in a real world sense, because there are the tag hits. You know, there's a big difference between me throwing a cut like that and me throwing a cut like that. Okay, it's the level of commitment. I am either going in like this, pretty much cutting to the center in some respect, or out, but basically I'm throwing a half cut. It's still a cut. I still throw it with intent to kind of like hit, but it's not the kind of cut where I'm trying to like cleave through. I'm not winding up big cut like that all the way to the ground or whatever, right? I'm just going in. And if something's in the way of that, it's going to get cut, but it's not like all the way through. And why you do that is because if I do a cut like this, I'm in a much better position to protect myself. If I cut like this, well, now my sword's down here. That's not saying that big full cuts are bad. It's light and heavy attack, right? If I am trying to cleave through something, it will not do it. Like it'll hurt, it'll hit. This will not go through a tatami mat. It'll get like halfway through. You need to have the full cut to get through targets. So thinking about that and thinking about Elden Ring is kind of like this vague video game idea pitch. Is what if the distinguishing factor between light and heavy attacks to really make them appealing, because it feels a lot of the time in games they don't really know what to do with lights and heavies. Like lights are faster, heaviers hit harder. But like, I think a lot of games have a really hard time deciding how that actually matters. I've played so many games where there was no real tactical decision between doing a light attack or a heavy attack. It didn't matter. So what if, for a game mechanic, every light attack ends in a guard point. So every time I do a light attack, my character is briefly guarding after the attack. And what, like, if I say keep feeding light attack inputs, and I go, right, if I sit there, I go like that, then obviously no blocking frames. But if, say, I'm here, and I go light attack, and I stop attacking, well, now my character's sword is in the center. It's in a position where it can protect me, because when we're cutting, we generally want to get our body behind our sword. We want to keep our sword between us and their sword, pretty much whenever possible, right? So if I'm trying to cut that right side, oh well, let's make it the left side here. My left side, so you can all see. But if I'm cutting 1, 2, the second cut comes, and I'm putting my body out away from it. So I'm protected. Whereas if I'm cutting to cleave, I'm gonna get stuck on something here. Yeah, I'm cutting to cleave, I end up down here. I have no blocking frame. Just a notion. I don't really know how you would like necessarily build off of that. It puts you in a weird place. But I also kind of feel like, in that same sense, playing around with the idea of always being blocking is interesting. Hellish Court does that. Your character is blocking by default. No matter, it's only when you do something else that your guard opens. And that's kind of true for, I think, a lot of fencing. Like, you can deliberately open your guard, right? I can be like this. But blocking attacks that are just coming at you just in earnest is not hard. I mean, it's super fundamental. If somebody's just going cut, 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 you just go defend, 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 defend. It's automatic. It's mindless. You can do it forever. I mean, it's not hard. What makes defense hard is that your opponent is not constrained to going 1 attack, 2 attack, 3 attack, 4. They're allowed to go 1, 2, hey, fake it out, boom, I'm back, right? They don't have to keep attacking in the same old boring sequence. They can mix it up. They can trick you. They can feint. They can do weird things. That's where all the sneaky stuff comes in. It's not attack and defense. Attack defense is easy. Tricking people is where the game is. But trying to like combine that into a sort of Soulsian action slasher type thing, it's an interesting idea. I'm not sure how to. I'm not a game dev, but you know, anyone else out there is free to just kind of run with that idea. Heavy attack should have an end frame that prevents you from blocking instantly, while the light attack can be transitioned into a block instantly. That's a thought. Yeah, like really short recovery. So you're trading off the damage of the full swing for a shorter recovery. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I've done a little bit of bayonet fencing. This is a Siggy fetish vert. It's been better. I need to work on the grip. That's all. That's basically straight to wood there. Look, you can see the wood. And then this one is, I've been putting this off for a while. At my last tournament, I was holding my sword about here, and somebody came in at me with this big old swing, hit right about here, somewhere around here, and just shattered. Like, this is a cord wrap over a wood handle with a metal tang. Their hit came in so hard that it punched through the cord wrap, shattered the wood grip into chunks, and the chunks all just kind of fell out in like just bits. And so I kind of like stuffed them back in, and I taped this shut, and then I kept fighting in the tournament. I took silver. That's the one I took silver in. But yeah, that was. I'm really afraid to take the wrap off. I'm very afraid to take the wrap off. Hello! I ate some chicken. I did eat chicken. That's okay. I wasn't really in a rice mood. Oh my goodness. Guess what? We have 853 people in the live. 853 people in the live. Yeah. Hi, 853 people. That's my wife. Right there. Oh, and my daughter. My daughter. That's like the only time you'll ever see her. Way off in the distance, a speck. Oh, what? How did I lose 800? I had. Oh no, I'm bleeding. I'm hemorrhaging people. I stopped swinging my sword around. I went from 800 to 200. Apparently, they just don't want to see my family. Go pick some blueberries. Okay, I guess I gotta start swinging the sword so I can get people. Alice says hi. Alicia says hi. Yeah, it was so. Oh yeah, so speaking of that tournament and stuff, yeah, nobody should be hitting that. So a lot of people dropped out from that tournament because the intensity was getting a little bonkers. I have like a scar. It's a whole thing. Yeah, it was a very intense tournament. It kind of pitched itself like it wasn't a surprise. We all kind of knew it was going to be brutal. That's kind of what we were signing up for. I really wanted to just get some more. I was running out of time to get like medals before I hit 10 years. Anyways, yada yada. Yeah, big heavy swings. Imagine if it was your hand. Yes, my hand was. I should post pictures sometime. I wear big plastic, like hard impact plastic clamshell gloves when I fence. You've seen my sparring videos. You know, they're heavy duty, right? So that same kind of like intensity that shattered my handle hit my glove so hard that when I took my glove off after the tournament, I didn't have like two knuckles. It was just one swollen lump all through there. It was awful. It was so bad. And yeah, I felt like my tendons like pulling for weeks afterwards. It was bad. Thank you, thank you. I haven't quite decided what I want to do with it yet. This is kind of where I'm at with it. The issue is I have this like gap. It's not really a gap though. It's yeah, you can see it right there. It's not that there's no hair growing there. It's that for whatever reason, all these hairs want to go this way, and all these hairs want to go that way. So it's just apart, and just that side goes that way, that side goes that way. This one doesn't do that. This side's fine. This side loses its mind. I've tried. I've tried everything. It will not. I cannot persuade it to be trained. I don't know why. It is driving me nuts. So I thought about maybe giving up on trying to do the straight down and just part them. But when I part them, the one that wants to go straight down now wants to curl, and it looks even worse than having the part. Because then I end up with like a double mustache. It's really weird. I don't get it. Yeah. They should be like that. Imagine play missions. Oh, that'd be interesting. Lean into the part. Maybe I'll just like pretend that it's just a fencing scar. Be like, yeah, you see this part? Like I got cut on the lip with a sword. Yeah. I do have a sword fighting scar now though. There it is. Oh yeah, you can see it right there. Boop. Have I been? So it's Facebook. They don't really seem to care. How do I like the Sekiro posturing system? Sekiro posturing, wait, Sekiro posturing? I don't remember the Sekiro posturing. I do have a halberd. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I did Sekiro. I don't remember stance. I don't remember there being stances. I just remember your character just kind of being like hey, 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 and then you hit the block button and he goes, hey, and then you block it, hey. I don't remember stances. Oh, the posture breaking. Oh yeah, I like that. I actually really like the posture breaking. I love that. I'm right there with you. Same thing with Ghost of. I think I like how Ghost of Tsushima does it even more, because Ghost of Tsushima, the characters just like it lets the sword hits when they get through feel super impactful, because there's nothing that kind of takes me out of the value of my sword quite like just sitting here just going yeah, and then like nothing's happening and it's just, and you just combo for like 2 minutes straight and nothing happens. It's not fun. I much prefer, and I think for the player character and possibly other enemies, Assassin's Creed 1 did this as well. So if you successfully defended, you just kind of be like, boom, defense, and you're fine. But if you botched the defense, your character would go like, whoa, like this, right? Like it'd be a panic. They'd be like, whoa, hey, like, oh, big, gross, sloppy parries. Or maybe they'd get like nicked. Maybe they'd try to like get a parry and it would kind of like tag them, and they'd back off like this and they'd be like, ow, and they'd come back in. That, I really like that, because that sells the fight to me so much better to have. And I think like if you do it right, players get what's going on, right? Like they see the fact that they're not landing hits on the person, but they can see the character like reacting like bigger and like, oh, scary, until eventually you get the guard break and then it's boom, lights out. I love it. I also love how Sekiro does the tiered health bars by giving armor. So your standard like samurai general character has 2 health bars. After you deplete the first health bar, you go in for a like throat stab. You hit them, but you hit their gorget or gorget. I don't know what the Japanese word for it is, but you hit that piece and you like embed in it. And when you pull away, it rips the armor off and you like flick it away or whatever. And then the next time you deplete the health bar, you go in for that throat stab again. They don't have armor anymore. Boom, lights out. Really, I love how Sekiro does it. Their first super on a live stream? What does that mean? Thanks, Frosted Pancake. Their first super on a live stream? I don't know what, I'm a little behind the times. I don't actually know what a super is, but thank you for the super, Frosted Pancake. In full play combat is a good strategy to look for a knockout. Yeah, that's probably not what's going to happen. It's a possibility. Big old hammer blows. If you've got like a poleaxe or whatever, just going, if you can get it, that big overhand boom right to their noggin with a poleaxe, that can be lights out. That can do it. But landing that is hard. It's not. It's such a big, huge swing. It commands respect when you see those big swings used in fencing manuals, harness fecting manuals. It's more about the threat of them because it demands an answer. If if somebody's got a poleaxe and they start posturing up to you like this, the moment they commit to making that swing, you have to do something about it. There is no like, it's fine. There's no like, I'm in armor, just get the, like if somebody's like threatening you with the point or whatever, like depending on where you're at with armor, you can just be like, just get that out of here, right? You're armored, so what? But if they're coming in with the whole, well, boom, you have to answer it. There's no halfway, and you just deal with it. So that's the way those big knockout punches get used, is to command a response. You're not expecting to land it. You're just expecting to get them to bite. And then once they bite, you go into step 2, 3, whatever. Thank you, Enrique. I realize, what? No, I could use some water though. Thank you. That's a lot of blueberries. Oh my goodness. It's a lot of blueberries. The mask is from Purple Heart Armory. Hey, let me actually have the sword back so people like wandering in realize that there are actually swords in this. Yes, I agree, Dave. Kingdom Come Deliverance has so much potential in the combat system, but has some flaws. I think the main issue holding Kingdom Come Deliverance back, which they've got a sequel coming out, so it might be different, was that I think they, and this is going to sound terrible coming from me, I think they were trying too hard to be authentic, in the sense that they ended up with a system that was, in my opinion, kind of hard to just play. And I don't mean hard as in like it's a hard game, like difficulty. No, it's like the game itself is hard to play. There's too much. I think they had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think they had like 8 attack directions. It's too many. Too many directions. You got to pull it back. Just make it make it 4 quarters. I mean, Mountain Blade's been doing that forever. Their 4 quarters are up, down, left, right. 4 quarters in like your other sort of, it's like top 1, 2, 3 diagonals. For Honor did a really good job, I thought, by simplifying it down to 3. I like it a lot. I like the 3. It's a good way to pull the idea and squeeze it down into something more palatable in a gaming context. So far as quarter systems go, For Honor is my favorite adaptation of the concept. Imagine putting some judo projections in a harness effect. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. Axe versus any sword depends on the size of the axe and the person using it. Where do I get my shirt from my fencing club? How effective is swinging with spears rather than stabbing? Ooh, this is kind of a fun one because on one, it depends. Oh, there's an apple. For one, it depends on the spearhead. Some spearheads don't cut. They just don't. Or they kind of do, but no. So on those ones, we have to just rule those ones out. So let's say for our hypothetical spear, we have something that has enough blade that you can give a good cut with. You know, maybe like a hewing spear or a partisan or something. Now we get into the other question. Cut or thrust? What's better? When we're talking about a spear, it kind of gets back to that thing about the poleaxe, is that the threat of cuts are serious, but, oh, thank you. But most of what you're dealing with are going to be thrusts, because thrusts travel the shortest possible distance to the target. And with spears, whatever, let's try let's put over here. With spears, that's a huge deal, because spears are very long and you have a lot of options. So when you've got a big old stick, you can proportion it to where your hands are. You will have a really dramatic amount of distance that can happen. So if I have a spear, I'm thrusting at the face. All I have to do is just turn this wrist, and now I'm thrusting at the legs. That's huge. That is a huge deal with spears. It's just how quickly that point can be from all the way over here to all the way down there, very quickly. Cuts are going to be a bit slower. The big hews still have the value of that they demand an answer. You have to deal with it. But also there are also just you know, maybe your point's on and you just do a little bit of this, right? You can just swipe, little cut. Those work too. But for the most part, you'll get better mileage out of thrusting with spears than you will with cutting. There are times to use the cut, very good times to use the cut, but most of the time it's thrusting. How does a messer get around the range of a longsword? You have to get in. You have to get in. I don't have my messer out, but I do have a dagger. This one's really short. This is an extreme example. If you're dealing with a longsword and you have something shorter than a longsword, I mean, your option here is you have to get in. This is, if you can get to the hand, great, boom, in. You might even want to like two-hand. You might want to go like here and get in with a half sword type motion. That's especially if it's, you know, their two hands to your one hand. You might, and you've got a messer. Yeah, like get the leverage behind your messer and get in like that. You could also just, I don't really recommend playing the like space them out game because I think you're going to lose that. But depending on how much shorter your messer is, you might have a way to get to play that space out game. And if you can get them to bite with a cut or something, just getting that hand shot while they're mid cut. Like if they're cutting, you can get like boom, cut the hand as it's still going. That's something. But for the most part with a messer, you need to get in. I need to catch back up with chat. Sorry, I got stuck into the reading the chat. Okay, so everybody who said anything between then and now, I did not just see it. Sorry. I have not seen the carbon fiber sword. Will I be posting more sparring footage? You're in luck. Stay tuned tomorrow. There you go. Just tomorrow. There's your answer. More sparring footage tomorrow. Ah. I'm playing around. I've got a sword and dagger tournament coming up. First time I've ever done sword and dagger in a tournament. I usually compete in sword and something with a buckler, but this tournament is sword and dagger exclusively. So I have to actually like level up my dagger game. My game plan for the tournament is, I did a video recently on different methodologies of using daggers. My game plan is to kind of take the easy peasy approach of I'm just gonna fight single sword. I'm gonna have this dagger here. Lovely dagger, very useful. But I'm gonna be fighting single sword, doing whatever, boom, 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 boom. And if the occasion arises, basically anytime I would use my hand in the dagger is just my hand, is kind of the idea. So if I was fighting sword alone, I'd have my hand here, boom. You know, if I can detain their sword or whatever, if I get to something like this, I might go for the grab, cut, whatever, right? Or I don't know. I mean, it's basically all that kind of stuff, right? You get somewhere, you get blade contact first, then you get their sword, and then you cut. Same idea can be applied to employing a parrying dagger. You don't have to fight with them both like simultaneously. You can fight, put the dagger here, back near your face, covering your face. It's good here because if somebody cuts at you, hey, look at that. I saved myself. I didn't even know it. But you keep this back here and you fight. You just do all your fighting with the sword alone. But as you fight with the sword alone, if you get into a situation where you're like, hey, I feel like grabbing the sword, you boom, grab their sword with the dagger, transfer off. Alternatively, let's say I'm fight with my sword, and maybe I go, oopsie, that's not good. Defend myself. That kind of thing. Let's see, ever heard of the videos on the Let's Ask Seki Sensei? Yes, I have. They're cool. I like them. I think they're really neat. Do I have much experience fencing lefties? I have a bit. Ugh. The thing with lefties is that their weakness is your weakness. They're just probably more used to exploiting it than you are. When you are a righty versus a lefty, the game becomes really a whole lot of that game is about attacking their dominant arm. It's there. It's much easier for you with your dominance to close the side, to close stuff on the inside of that sword. Protecting your outside is not as easy as protecting your inside. This easy, this less easy. So the game is kind of the righty versus lefty game is a lot of trying to create that opening to just wham them right on the arm. Because it's open. It's really hard for them to protect it. Because it's your strong side and their weak side and vice versa. It's weird. It's really weird. I've never been part of the SCA, no. If I'm just a general recommendation for fetters is Purple Heart Armory if you're in the US. They have a nice selection. Oh, thank you, O. I do a bit of spear. Not as much spear as I do sword. Ugh. The other option, so like the hardest way to use a parrying dagger is definitely the simultaneous attack and defense. That's the high skill, the high skill floor, high skill ceiling way of using daggers is just being so good that every time Spee attacks you, you just go boom and you get that shot. It's hard because this thing is kind of hard to parry with. Like it's good at parrying, but like being able to do both at the same time with something that's fairly small that you have to put in the right place, and if you put it in the wrong place, you catch it like this, you catch them here, boom, collapse, you're dead. If you catch them there, good. You catch them like, I don't know, like here, you're probably losing. There's very particular places where you can catch stuff with this thing and not get clobbered for it. So being able to do that accurately while also delivering your own attack, hard. Much easier is to defend with both at the same time. It does not have the same tempo advantage, right? Because if I can defend an attack in the same tempo, that's a single time action. That's very good if I can do that. What you lose tempo by using them together, but you increase your odds of succeeding in your defense. So I can do both, and boom. I lose tempo, but I gain security. Tempo loss, security. Hope I got it right. Yeah, the main gosh. Would a rapier be a better counter to a messer, considering it'd be very hard to break range compared to a... Different ball game. I think I'd still give advantage to the longsword. The leverage advantage is important here. The leverage disadvantage of the rapier against the messer, the longsword can play that distance very well too. So I feel like in that matchup, I think I'd rather have the longsword than the rapier. I think. Oh, thank you. What sword is the most versatile? I mean, I feel like that's just the hand and a hand and a half sword, because like intrinsically, like a sword that you can use in one hand or two is like doubles your options. So that's pretty versatile to me. This one's not really a hand and a half. It's kind of, I can fight with it one-handed, but it's a bit sluggish. It's a little too much sword to really use in one hand. It's like I have to pretty much commit to all of my cuts with this. It's yeah, it's a bit much. But something slightly smaller than this would be the most versatile sword in my opinion. Well, a little bit less sword than this. Oh boy, the backhand blades. I don't like to get into the reverse grip thing very much. If ever, exceedingly uncommon. They don't have a whole lot. It doesn't. There's not a lot going for holding a sword backwards. There are times where you can get some use out of it, but to like make it your whole thing, there's a reason why you hold like pretty much every culture like holds their like striking weapons like this. You know, the stabbing is different. Stabbing, sure, ice pick all day for stabbing. The thing that the ice pick stabbing has in common is if I am swinging a sword or if I am stabbing with a dagger, my arm's kind of doing the same thing, sort of, kind of. It's arm comes up, arm goes down, arm comes up, arm goes down. It's just a question of, do I kick? Is the thing I'm hitting with going out in front of my hand to be a cut, or is it sticking out under my hand to be a like a stab, right? That's the two big differences, right? Look it forward or come crashing through. Either way, this is still doing kind of the same motion. The moment we try to add a reverse grip to the mix, it's, if you want to do the descending cut, it's like you have to kind of twist through like this. If you want to do a rising cut, that's not terrible. If you want to do a rising cut on this side, it gets weird again. And then this angle is just, your arm's not built like this. So whereas, why am I doing this with a long sword? Let me get a one-handed sword. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Trying to like do it two-handed. Good luck. But right, so like if I want to attack whatever, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Like all of these cutting lines are not overly difficult for me to access with a sword held like this. I hold the sword like this. 1, 2, 3. This line's okay. That's okay. This is weird. That feels weird. I don't like that. This is really weird. I hate that. That's okay, but it feels very weak. Of course, doing it with the this way also feels, this is just a weak cut. I mean, just let's be honest. Vertically rising is just weak, no matter which way you're doing it. I guess vertically rising on this side is not terrible. But basically, all your really good swings with something in reverse grip are basically this here. As soon as you start getting out of this quarter, the efficiency of swinging like this decreases dramatically. Whereas you can just cut all day like that. Half sword with a rapier, sure. Like, why not? You can. There's no reason why you can't. Half sword with a rapier is actually one of the recommendations against spheres. You're never going to win a leverage game against a spear with a rapier, trying to like fight like out here. Like you're just going to get destroyed. Don't do it. So instead, half sword, boom. It's the Messer thing again, right? Trying to get the spear set aside and then come in with the point. What a we were to be more successful. We might step for quick grip changes. Sure, why not? Would an epee pistol grip be effective in combat? Maybe. I don't like see why like not. It's really only for stabbing, so you're going in with that knowledge. Like you're only stabbing things. That's it. So if that's all you care about doing, then sure. It basically does the thing of getting the sword, like, let's see, epee pistol grip basically gets the sword to be about here. And when you want to accurately aim your sword, getting your point exactly in line with your arm makes it better. Like that's, yeah. So like, that's all you're doing, sure. I don't know how the counterbalance situation works out, because epee aren't exactly heavy. So I don't know if you start to run into issues when you get into heavier weight swords. Oh, ones that could actually like take a hit from another sword. I don't know. Of course, that's a simple enough solution. You just put a pommel at the end of the pistol grip, and there you go. You made me on Elden Ring. Interesting. What I said about the ice grip, adding a small blade on the pommel or mace head. Yes, that's actually recommended in for judicial dueling. So one of the issues that you run into with adding a spiky bit onto your pommel is that most of the time your sword's here. And I don't know about you, but I would really rather not have a spike anywhere near the inside of my wrist. All you need to be doing one day is you're just walking along and you just, oh, splurt, dead. Not good. But judicial dueling is a different context entirely. The swords aren't being worn about. It's not your daily carry sword. It's a specialized sword only carried for the purposes of doing the duel. So you're already all like armored up. You have your super gnarly sword with the spiky pommel and the spiky crossguards. There's spikes everywhere. You're not walking around getting impaled by your sword, right? The only reason why you have this thing in your hand is because you are standing across from another guy that you're about to fight. That's the only reason why this is in your hand. In that context, put spikes all over the thing. Sure, whatever. Context is everything, to quote Matt there. Context. I need a salad and a mallet so I can bang it and really just be Matt now. I had questions come in. Let's go with Greg. Ice pick grip only really makes sense for daggers. Also, more hammer content when? Some point, sometime, maybe. When I have something to say about it. I'm not quite sure when that'll be, but sometime. Robin St. Pierre asks, do some city guard weapon practice what the city guard's main weapon? Yes. Yes. So most of my reading, I find I always refer to this, the 16th century free cities of the Holy Roman Empire and all that, blah, 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 blah. That's where a lot of my focus is, and that's where a lot of my kind of frame of reference comes from. So I always say this because medieval period and Renaissance, we're talking hundreds of years. Things change. and we're also talking like a whole continent. So within that narrow scope, yes, being a citizen. So all your city guards in this context, all the city guards, every single like, okay, maybe some of them are professionals. For the you might have like a couple professionals that like manage things, but for the most part, the bulk of your city guards are going to be citizens that are fulfilling a civic obligation. So imagine, if you will, you want to move into a town. To get to be a citizen of this town, you sign up to be a volunteer firefighter, to be a volunteer like Army Reserve, volunteer police officer, and so on. So you have to volunteer for all of these things, and they put you on rotation. So let's say like once a month, they call you up and they're like, all right, it's your night. You're on guard duty. And you go, shucks. Okay. So you put on your armor, because you have to own armor. It's part of your obligations, right? You have to be a soldier and a cop. You have to own armor. You have to own weapons. So you put on your armor, you get your halberd, you get your sword. You go to report for guard duty. These are the weapons that you, as a citizen of this town, are expected to know how to use. So a huge part of this culture in this sort of narrow snapshot of time we're looking at here is that to be a citizen is to carry arms. These two things are just, they're one and the same. Also, to be a citizen is to like be a man kind of thing. It's, you know, patriarchy. But like, so like manhood, citizenship, arms bearing, all three are together, all one and the same. They're intrinsically linked. So to be manly, you have to know how to use swords, because you have to also be a good citizen to be manly, and they feed into each other. So yes, city guards would have an expectation of having, like, not just because they're guards, because they're citizens, they have an obligation to know how to bear and use arms. It's just intrinsic. Now, the citizen militias, when they actually get called to battle, just because they like practice using the swords does not mean that they are the equal of standing armies. These citizen militias don't have the best track record. They're usually good enough to man the walls or whatever. But for your like fighty, like real fighty, you're gonna want professionals. So yes, there's an expectation that you should be trained. You should know how to use these weapons. But there's a threshold here, right? There's like, I know how to do the thing. You know, I go to the shoot. You know, like I go to the shooting range, whatever times a week. You know, like I can put targets on rounds or whatever. But that doesn't mean that you've gone through like SWAT training, right? There's a separation of education, but yeah, the guards would reasonably be expected to have some training, socially obligated training. So I hope that answered your question, Robin. Let's see here. This sword stand is a bike repair stand. There you go. Hello, Super Dash. Is that why mercenaries were a big thing? Kind of. Mercenaries, again, if we're looking at that Renaissance time period, we have a citizenship. So I was talking earlier about citizenship. Citizenship is not the easiest thing to come by. Being a citizen's, like, getting citizenship is hard. Job prospects, I mean, like, you know, the world we live in, right? Imagine having the same sort of job troubles trying to find a job that'll actually take you on and like has places for you and stuff. Imagine all that. But now, like, you really don't have much of a safety blanket. Also, you're not a citizen. Have fun. So you end up with a lot of disenfranchised youths, just tons. Just imagine like all the like underemployed college graduates running around. Just imagine all of them running around, frustrated because they can't find a job. Maybe like in this situation, maybe they were apprentices. Maybe they were apprentice tradesmen or something. Not necessarily, if you were in a university, you were probably going to be fine. But if you were apprentice to a tradesman or something, there aren't a lot of job opportunities. So you end up with a ton of, like, basically people who train to have jobs that they can't get jobs for. So they have a skill set they can't use to make money. So you have all these disenfranchised youths who have no better prospects than, like, well, I guess I'll go join the war. And so you just get these, like, hordes of young people that you can just train up and throw at battles. But also because we don't have the idea of professional government-funded armies is it hasn't really been a thing for a while. Rome had professional armies or whatever, but as far as like medieval Renaissance period, standing professional armies aren't really a thing. They're starting to become a thing, but they're not there yet. So people who, like, soldiering is their full-time job and they're paid by the state. That doesn't exactly exist yet. Instead, you have professional soldiers who aren't obligated to work for the state. They take whatever job they want, and then you have, like, nobility who have like stately obligations, but they're not full-time soldiers either. So you end up in these interesting situations where, like, if you need men to fight a war, who are you going to recruit? Are you going to grab the, like, militia, or are you going to pay the professional soldiers that are rummaging around who have nothing better to do? And also, if you can get all these mercenaries that are in your territory and shuck them over there, they're not your problem anymore. If they go die, well, you don't have to pay them. Congrats. And if they're not in your town, they're not stealing your stuff. That's a big problem. One of the big problems with mercenaries is when they have no war to fight, they tend to just kind of cause chaos. I mean, they got to eat somehow. And again, once again, they can't find jobs. So what are they going to do if there's no war to fight? No lord to pay them. They'll take their money from something else. Brigandry. Brigands. Words. So yeah, you find a war, you send them off to go fight. You don't have to deal with them anymore. Off they go. So imagine if all the unemployed college students, you just like, well, we got no jobs for you, but I'll pay you, like, $80K a year to go kill those guys, and also anything you find while you're there, take it. Knock yourself out. If you find, like, a nice wad of cash over there, sure, it's your bonus. Thank you, Hungry Hyena. Do I know what Athenius and May say on the Lebel 1886 M93 rifle? I don't know what they say. I don't know what they say on that. Hello, John. I guess they kind of did do that like back when, like, having a college degree pretty much guaranteed you a job. Like, they kind of were doing that, right? They were like, go fight, we'll pay for your college degree. And right now, college degrees guarantee you a job. So it's like, okay, yeah. But now they don't. So, and it's not the same appeal it used to be. How am I so styling? I'm wearing a t-shirt. Can I break down the motion? I don't know enough about how they did the mocap. Like, I'm aware that they did mocap. I don't know the details. Oh, the red comment asks, are Zweihanders or Claymores be bad for beginners? Yeah, maybe, kind of, yeah. I think so. Kind of. I think they'd be, Like, I think yes. I'm debating. There are very valuable lessons that they can teach you, but I think yes, bad for beginners. I think bad for beginners. They are Zweihanders can mess you up if you do it wrong. I don't mean like you hit yourself. I mean they have like enough mass that if you do a dumb movement because you are new and you don't know better, and you like tweak it, that thing has enough weight that it will like tweak you, and you'll be like, "Ow! Oh, that hurt." And like more than any other sword, I think a Zweihander has a real likelihood that you throw something out because it's too much mass moving, and you just go, "Oh, there it goes." So no, I don't think it's a good choice for beginners, but valuable and perhaps worth doing under supervision. Let's go with that. Valuable lessons to be learned under supervision, but not for beginners in isolation. Oh, I caught the edge. It's good to do this stuff, to do these kind of drills without gloves on, because when you have gloves, sometimes you get the like slides and you don't realize that you've made contact with the edge. So going barehanded when practicing these drills really let you know if you're safe or not. Safe, see? Safe. Oh, someone was asking about long point, wasn't they? Someone said that they are lightsaber fighting and someone keeps stabbing them in long point. Oh, thank you, Super. I really like the shield hoe. If I were to adapt the philosophy of swordsmanship to modern society, then how would you describe the culture? Are we talking about in the same context I was describing earlier about citizen militias? What's the difference between an epee and a rapier? An epee is, as far as like what people think of when we say epee, that would be a sporting version of a small sword, and a small sword is a diminutive rapier. I guess you could say it's sort of the evolution. So rapiers just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and people got to the point where like, this is getting a little ridiculous. So let's stop being obnoxious, because when you wear a big long sword, you kind of bonk stuff. Case in point, I was trying to demonstrate the bonking, and I did. See, like this isn't even as long as the rapiers can get. Look at this, right? Like imagine walking around. Look, it's all the way back there, right? Like it's a lot of sword, and some rapiers got really, really long, and that's just kind of annoying. So eventually people kind of got fed up with them, and so they started shrinking them down, and so you get the small sword, which is a much more reasonable sword to wear. And then the epee, yeah, epee and foil, it's they stuff. Yeah, so thrusting, yeah, long point. Can I name a car for an it? Willie's Jeepster. Boom. Willie's Jeepster. Yeah, I love the Jeepster. I'm still thinking about the thrusting from. Thrusting from long point is, so one answer is just the counter thrust. If they start thrusting you, you thrust back, but at an angle. You thrust in opposition. So if that thrust is coming in, you're gonna get stabbed. You, as that thrust comes, I'm gonna like walk towards the thrust. Pretend that I'm standing still and it's coming at me. Okay. So as that thrust is coming towards me, I have to deal with this, or I'm gonna get stabbed. So I can gather that point. Bearing in mind leverage here. This, far away, easy to move. Very close, hard to move. As that point comes towards me, I want to get my sword, catching it, displacing it at the tip. So that way, as the swords get closer and it becomes harder for us to move these swords, I've already displaced them and my point can come in. So done right, you can basically just walk. Ooh, that was close, but hey, you can just walk your point on by applying force at the right time, catching their tip and moving your strong to theirs. That can kind of vary. Ooh, just chip the nail. So if you go really early, if you go here, they might dip and do it back to you. So there's kind of a sweet spot to catching that thrust. You need to, you want to have the blade, relative, where do I go? You want to have relative blade advantage. So what applies to them also applies to you. So if this is easy to move and this is hard to move, and you're both trying to move each other's swords around, this is a good place for you to be and a bad place for them to be. Because now you are hard to displace and they are easy to displace. You can move them, you can just bully them around. So thrust comes in, gather the point, thrust them back. Are there any precedents to undercuts from the false edge? And if so, is there a more inherent risk to injury with such a undercuts, the false edge? Yes. So I say yes. I want to make sure actually we're talking about this, right? That's what we're talking about. So cutting underneath with the false edge, boom. Yeah, there's precedent for that. Using it to hit somebody is less common. It's the main advantage of a cut like this is it's really good at clearing. So if somebody is cutting at me, clear, hit. Ooh, I made sparks. Anyone see the sparks? I sparked it off. Yeah, so these rising short edge cuts are really good defensively. You go boom, boom, and you hit them. It works great. They have less going for them offensively. You can, if somebody's like hands there, you can pop it, right? You do whatever you, what did I just jettison? Oh no, the Allen wrench. What have I done? Yeah, so you can short edge pop. That's a, I don't want to say that's it, but rising false edge cuts feel more like the fence with the katanas. Yeah. Yes, I did wear that dirt. Yeah, that dirt circles all me. The Jedi survive. Oh boy, I would need to refer to them. I need to see them again. It's been a while. Boop. How? I like this one. This one's, it's the same idea as that rising cut with that edge, but you do it with the main edge. You come back, you cut again. So cut comes in, you go 1, 2, defend. Always cutting, the recommendation is to always cut back to their sword, because you don't know where the sword is. You need to find it again. If it's loose, it can do things. If you have contact with it, less so. So the cut's coming. You go 1, 2, 3. Back to their sword. You're going back to the sword as you withdraw. So I'm walking away. Again, defend, hit, defend, back out. Good stuff. It's good to defend. Circles. I haven't done a circle in a while. Boom. Circle. 1, 2 ish. 1, 2. Buckle my shoe. 1, 2. The little doubling there. I like that one because it's easy to make it look like you're going to cut to the other side. You go 1. You kind of start to set it up like you're going to cut around. You go 1, and you start to move this way, but it's all a trap, because the body dynamics of throwing this cut and throwing that cut are kind of the same thing. You can, boom, get through. Your body's going this way. So you throw the cut, you start to wind up, you come off, you start to wind towards the other cut, but you shift and you come back again. So they go parry, you start to come away, they start to anticipate, so they start to come around to parry this, and then you just come right back again. It's very nasty. All in the hips too. I mean, you can see what's happened to this poor thing. Yeah, it is. It's trying. It is struggling. It's struggling. I'm getting out of light here, so I'm probably gonna wrap things up. Also, it's been hour 18. I'm gonna give it like, let's give it like 10 minutes. Somebody asked something. Do I have any shields? I do. What do swordsmen do after winning the battle? Savor the moment. Good, good. Was that worth $5? Was that worth $5? I hope so. I think that was worth $5. What's a good sword for a 5? So someone always ends up asking this in live. The answer, what's the best sword for me, for you, for anyone, is a sword sized to you. And even then, it can vary. Everybody's got preferences. With me, I like a long sword to be about here. This is a good place for me. I like this. This is nice. I like it. Right there, right? Just sternum's here, just right, kind of tucking in below the pecs, just right there. Solar plexus. I like this. This is good for me. It works for my body proportions. If I am grabbing somebody, it's short enough that I can be all up in somebody's business with my hand, and I can still get the point on. Because my sword's not so long that I can't present the point from a withdrawn position. If the sword gets much longer than this, you can't really do that anymore. I like that. Some people want more reach than that. They compromise. They can't do that anymore, but they can stab you from all the way back here. Ultimately, the right sword for you is just finding the kind that works, like that you find interesting. I find long swords interesting. Other people like sabers. Some people like rapiers. whatever. Find something that interests you, and then figure out what a proportionate version of that sword would be for you. So generally they give you can find some pretty good rules of thumb about sizing, but even within the same kind of sword, it'll vary. Some people say that a long sword should come to your armpit. Other people say, they want the sternum. Nobody like really agrees. You have to play around with it a little bit. Find an opportunity to try out different swords, see which one feels right for your body. What would I suggest is the easiest cost-wise method of getting into HEMA? Find an established HEMA club that has loaner gear. That's a good one. Take, for example, my club, Triangle Sword Guild. When we have a beginner's class, the first month is free. And then after that, it's like $40 a month. And basically, for like half a year, you can just use our swords and our masks if you want. I mean, we stopped doing the mask thing because of COVID, but maybe they'll come back out. But for the most, like, under normal circumstances, we provide a sword, we provide a mask. We even had a bag of gloves at one point. So people could like start to learn very cheaply, and just as you could afford stuff, you started buying more gear. So it allowed for a much longer scope onboarding process when it comes to the expenses, which worked out really well for people. I want some more water. Chat is moving. Sabers are cool. They're not exactly my thing. I have a saber. I finally bought one. They're neat. They are neat. I'm a two-handed sword kind of guy. I just like two hands on my sword. I'm a simple guy like that. Two hands on the sword. That's what I like. Thank you, Greg. Oh yeah, I can do. I'm over here chugging water. I can still be doing swords and water. I can do swords and water. I have a one-handed sword. Mm. Mm. That's a little trickier. Oh, I'm all sweaty. Ooh, I lost it. That wasn't great. Yeah, that's better. How about a Japanese? I know where you're going with that one. Katanas are too short. Too short for me. Tachi. Like a good war tachi. We're talking. War tachi. Odachi. Ooh. Really talking. I like an odachi. Nodachi. Odachi. Kind of interchangeable there. Nodachi. And nagamaki. Ooh. But yeah, tachi. Tachi, where it at? The doubling. Wind through, cut in the bind. They're giving you hard pressure. They're giving you hard pressure. Really pushing you. You're like, I got it. Boom. Hit. If they are giving you lateral pressure, that's not pressure coming towards you. If pressure is coming towards you, yielding and trying to do that just gets you cut. That pressure is coming in, you yield, they hit you, you hit them, you both kaputs. However, they start giving you pressure to the side. That means it's not coming towards you. So you yield to the pressure, turn your sword, cut. Because their sword's going to go that way. Or they might even push you. That's the other thing that can happen. If we come to a bind and they start going, push this way, I yield, I turn. They're pushing this way. What class is going to happen if my sword is here and they push this way? Something's gonna happen. Uh-oh. Oh no. Let's do that one again. We push, they clash. They don't want to get stabbed. I'm just gonna stab them. Oh, I'm gonna stab you. They go, get that out of here. They start to push. I turn. They keep pushing. Oh, hit. Ouch. That's gonna hurt. Together, threatening them. They push. Hit. You're out of there. Lovely times. Everybody goes, yay, rejoice. Oh boy. There's between the classic player and Myers. Myers just really likes the short edge. He just really likes the short edge. I don't know if that's necessarily like my man Meyer. If you give him the chance to short edge something, he will short edge. He will go, hey, short edge. He loves it. He loves that short edge so much. Oh my gosh. He's always doing it. Circle, short edge. He just really likes the short edge, man. There's reasons. Not just the player, just Meyer and short edges in general. I find his use of the short edge is unintuitive, but mechanically sound. It's your body doesn't know that that's a good way to move, is generally my impression when it comes to Meyer short edge stuff. Because you're always like, doing long edge always feels good. Long edge always feels good. We like the long edge. Long edge feels nice. But sometimes, just that's the shortest route. Don't long edge it. Just whoop, and you've got it. Because all it takes is I take this pommel and I go wham, and I hit with the short edge, as opposed to having to like twist through. You just boom. It's less. I think the reason why the short edge stuff is less intuitive is because to make the short edge stuff happen like really well, it's your offhand leading the action, and your dominant hand kind of has to not be dominant. And I think that's part of it. It's the more you can get there faster with the short edge than with the long edge, but you have to accept that your body just doesn't want to like intuitively do that. Like from here I want to like pop it like that, but just accepting that this works too and can get there faster potentially is, you just have to like accept it. What D&D class would I consider myself? Let's go with College of Sword Bards. College of Swords Bard. Let's put that. Because like that's what I do, right? I do performative sorting at you all, and you all listen to me ramble on about lore. Like what is that if not a sword bard? Yeah, the dominant hand becomes more of a. I'm losing my light. But yeah, maybe if I can get a little bit of this here. All right, so all this funky short edge stuff comes from the dominant hand becomes the pivot point. The backhand does all the like whoosh type stuff. It's pushing and pulling, and that's not the cut. It's like you still have to put your hips into it. It's still hip driven, but it's a matter of like doing the push pull there to get the position, and then hips through to get the actual power. Anyways, I said I was going to go for about till 30, so this is like the last 20 seconds. Also, like really good timing on my part because the light is gone. Lightsaber time. I wish I have stuff to do, so this is about it. I don't have any S-stocks. Any techniques that I know other than the classics that start in the Fool's Guard? there's like some Abschneiden you can do. So that's like we're in the Fool's Guard, and somebody starts to like cut, and we can go whoosh. Not like that. I missed. I was looking at the wrong thing. Boom, and you're down here, and you go boom, boom. You just cut away. Yeah, I guess. Oh boy. Oh, 20. Oh boy. Okay. All right. And maybe this is the last one we stop on because the Woos just sent in a $20 question, and this is very dark. Hopefully this doesn't matter. Okay. When looking at competitive and tournament settings, it seems as though scripture and treatises are used for references, but not concrete and surefire plays and counterplays. What should I prioritize between sparring? Oh boy. Oh, we're just dropping the doozy. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna answer that. I'm just gonna skim. Yes, I am doing Elden Ring Saturday or Sunday. Words. Do I train people? Yes, I do. And what can I do when a shield gets too close and you have to know when to retreat? Grapple. I grab the shield. Anyways, how do I feel about like great swords? I did a video. Watch that. Okay. Anyways, this is going to be. So this is it. This is my last question. The Woos asked. Competitive tournament settings seems as description and treatises used for references, but not concrete and surefire plays and counterplays. What should you prioritize between sparring and study? It's going to depend. That's ultimately a you question. You have to ask yourself that. That's not a cop out on my part. It's a question of what do you want out of this, out of HEMA? What do you want? Do you want to try to emulate the sources that you're studying? And do you want to get to a place where you can do them at competition level, fighting? That is a long road. Fundamentals, timing, distance, super simple attack, parry, basic common fencing type stuff can win tournaments. There's no need to work off the sources for modern competition. I don't feel like that's a hot take. I think it's been proven that people people who have a core grasp, who have never read a single historical work on fencing, can do well at tournament. That's the nature of the game. Is there are skill sets that you can develop from fencing, timing, distance, knowing when you have initiative, when you need to withdraw, all these things that you will gain through experience of just doing adversarial sport of combat. You just get there. It's just a matter of just time and effort and practice. That said, there is definitely value in the historical texts. I have used techniques that I have learned first and foremost from historical manuals. They're in the manuals because they work. The hurdle is that a lot of these techniques sort of counterplay and work with certain what's the word I'm looking for here? They're conditional. You need the right stimuli to make it work, and that does not always come to you in a tournament context because your opponent's not necessarily fighting in the way that like sets that up. All those fun bind plays are hard to make happen if you have somebody who is going to immediately bind. But we have answers for that too. If all you want to do is win medals, it's my honest opinion that you don't really need to like look through the text. It pains me. It pains me deeply to say it. I don't like it. But ultimately, if all you want to do is win medals, you just have to learn how to play the game, which is not the same thing as learning the martial art. They are very closely related. One feeds to the other. But learning how to play the game will get you very far. And ask high-level tournament fencers. Like when they're going around, they usually spend a fair bit of time studying the rules. Each tournament tends to have its own sort of flavor of rules, and the tournaments will encourage certain approaches. They will award certain behavior. And the gaming fencers will study those rules and calculate their best meta strategy for maximizing point gain in a tournament. Whereas somebody who's really focused on the martial fencing is going to try to fence martially, even if it is a suboptimal approach from a point standpoint. They're willing to fight in a way that is less lucrative in a game standpoint to try to be truer to their art. And I don't say that again to disparage anybody who fences sportive. That's their right, their prerogative. More power to them. I kind of put myself more in the category of the trying to fight my art. I am not a big competitive fencer. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't even like tournaments, but I do them because it's the best opportunity that we have in the current HEMA environment to pitch yourself against a bunch of people who are not going easy on you by any means, and to see if you can actually put your money where your mouth is and do the things you practice. So what matters to me personally in my own outlook on tournament fencing is not did I win, it's did I make the techniques I've been practicing happen. So I did a video a while back. I'd been practicing Sparren. It's blocking. It's where you sort of creep your way in. They're hanging out in Alber. You creep in. You quickly pop your sword over the top, bar them below you, play off of that. I did that in a tournament. I'd been practicing it. I learned it from a book. I did it. It worked in tournaments. It worked brilliantly. It was fantastic. It worked so well. So I would say, like, you're probably doing yourself a disservice if you don't look at the books. But ultimately, what wins tournaments is playing, and not even like gaming the rules. I don't even mean that. What wins tournaments is just doing tournaments. That's how you win tournaments. You win tournaments by just hitting the grindstone and just grinding out that competitive game and like learning how to play the competitive game. That's what wins tournaments. But also, I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you want to call yourself a historical fencer or HEMA practice. If you don't do the H, if you don't do the H, you're just doing HEMA. Maybe not even HEMA. You're just, if you want to do HEMA, you should at least be aware of the H in the acronym here. So that's where I'm at. I hope you find that helpful. All right. So I hope that is settled. So yeah, that was my like 10-minute rant about doing the martial art or doing the sport. Yeah, so I hope you all found that helpful. Oh, thank you. I think it was like a 10-minute rant. I think I was ranting for about 10 minutes there. But anyways, yeah, that's so now I'm 10 minutes over the time. Hopefully I answered that last question satisfactorily. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to, I put my water in. I did. I'm gonna go drink water. Have a good night, everybody. Oh my goodness, you missed most of it. So help me. Fortunately, this is not a private stream. Just you paid $20 for that answer. Just I'm gonna end the stream, jump back 10 minutes, jump 10 minutes before this, and watch it. There you go. There's your $20 answer. There you go. Good night, everybody.